The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps to cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F. Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello, my creepy little weirdo. Already starting with the bad mouth. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Hello, all my creepy little weirdos. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Horror History and Haunting Podcast. Woo! Today I have a wonderful guest to introduce to you. His name is Timothy Wayne Williams. He is a painter, see, I always say, I either say mathematician, magician, or the magic one. And I always get, I don't know, tongue issues. Me. It is what it is. Anyway, Timothy is known most for his Hidden Bigfoot series of paintings and his stunning coffee table book, which we'll discuss. it's definitely a mix of cryptid lore meets fine art. We want to dive a little bit more of his inspiration. We want to talk about his real life story. So, without further ado, without wasting anybody's time, welcome on Timothy.
Hey, Christina.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
How you been?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. It's wonderful for a Wednesday here. It was 50 degrees. I was enjoying some
Yeah,
time outside. Got
yeah.
my shinies done.
Oh, nice, nice. Me too. Me too. Yeah, yeah.
That's about as artful as I get right now. Um, so where do you want to start off? Do you want to
Well, I'm
talk
looking
about?
at the contrast in our pictures, and it's like I look literally like a dead person. So make sure everyone knows I am not a ghost. This is
He's not
really
a
me.
vampire. He's
I
not
am
a
the
ghost.
normal, healthy gray color. So this
He's
is
just
me.
pallid today.
Yeah, this is yeah. Now the lighting in this studio is just terrible for this. It's great for painting when it's daytime, but yeah. So yeah, it's not great lighting for this, but we shall persevere.
Oh, we've already got people popping in. Hey,
Mhm.
Adam. Hey, Ghost Valley. Hello. Common historian. Hello. And Lisa. Hello. I just want to make
Hey,
sure I welcome everybody that popped in.
heck yeah.
Um, so a lot of people know you from. You said you got your book with you, right?
Yeah. You want to see that?
Yeah, show me. He
Okay.
has an awesome book. It's called the Your Bigfoot Expedition, and it
Yeah.
kind of goes with the storyline where you're trying to find Bigfoot, and he's got
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
these.
I've been painting the Hidden Bigfoot series for a while, and I was doing calendars. I worked with Doug Hychak and his publishing company for a little bit, and we did a couple calendars together. And then I realized it's like, why am I doing calendars? Because it's like they have a shelf life, you know.
Yeah,
After a while, it's like no one wants it. There's only 12 pictures in it once they found the Bigfoot, and then the year
they move
changes.
on.
And it's like it's worthless. So I decided to do a book that would be somewhat timeless, I hope. But yeah, it's all my paintings, and they have various Bigfoot in it. I don't tell you how many Bigfoot are in the scene; you have to figure it out. But what I do is I made a little narrative that runs through it. It's not a hardcore story. I'm actually not even sure I should call myself an author, but technically I did write some stuff that is published. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going.
that qualifies as being an
Yeah,
author. You made a book with writing in it that you
that's
wrote,
right.
and you
That's right.
published it. So
That's right.
I don't know a truer definition of author, but his
Absolutely.
paintings are really cool. If you follow me, usually if he posts a new painting, I'm usually sharing it out because I'm a big fan of his art. He does everything from ships at sea to knights in shining armor to UFOs to Bigfoot, forest scenes, magic like castles and whimsical stuff with fairies and it's awesome. I definitely want to show off a couple of his pieces. He's got some in his book here. Look
Yeah,
how
this
beautiful this is.
this is some of the fall ones. Maybe that might not be the greatest to show in this light, but yeah, I've got it set up so it starts out kind of like in this spring, and you're going on your personal expedition. It's up to you to see how many Bigfoot you see in each scene, and then I got a little thing down here. You can write the creature count, how many you think you see, and then I tell everyone, do not go to the back of the book until you've gone through it all and think you found them. And then in the back, when you're all said and done, I show you where they all were. They're all circled.
Yeah, that's cool. That's like back
Oh
in the day with like the what did they call it? The highlight books. Remember when you
yeah, yeah, I
could
love those. That was the
they
only
were
good
my
thing about
favorite.
going to the doctor.
Right. That was the only thing you look forward to. And then
Yeah,
back in the day, you got suckers, but now it's not healthy, so they don't give kids suckers anymore. But
yeah.
you got
But
suckers for shots.
I've got a forward in here by Daniel Lee Barnett. I don't know if you know him, but he's kind of big in the cryptid world. He's a kid from the UK, and he's autistic, uh, and he's making all kinds of waves in the cryptid community. Matter of fact, he's even got a documentary about him. It's like on Prime Video right now.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
No, no, that's not a name that I've come across thus
yeah.
far. But I have a tendency to fall more on the paranormal. I love the cryptids,
Ah, okay, that's
but
right. That's right. That
yeah,
makes
I don't get to do the cryptid stuff as much as I like, but I'm a big cryptid fan too.
cool.
Um, and I'm going to see if I can do this. We're going to try it. He's gave me permission to kind of share some of his art off of the interwebs. So uh,
Wow.
this was the kind of the newer stuff.
That is
Few
my very
messages.
newest one. I just sold that today.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful though? Oh my gosh! And it's our mythos, our myths, monsters, and mullets. So that's the first time
Oh,
I've ever heard Timothy and normal in the same sentence.
John's
And hey,
awesome.
Keith, I'm glad you shared. I appreciate it, bud. I don't want to block the messages from your beautiful art here, but yeah. So it beautiful pieces. If you want to kind of explain some of them, like this
Yeah,
is just reminds me of a place you want to sit with a person. You know how they always ask if you have one person from heaven to sit on a bench with and have a discussion?
exactly.
This feels
Yeah,
like the bench.
yeah. That one is a very recent one too, and I wanted to put I wanted to make a beautiful scene, and then at the last minute, I wanted to put that bench in there. And I didn't title this. Oh, this one doesn't have anything hidden in it, too, by the way. But I didn't title this one because I kind of wanted to leave it up to you. Like you could see it as kind of a happy place. You're getting ready to go sit down, or maybe it's a sad place. You're missing someone,
Hmm.
terribly.
Yeah, it
And
definitely. Are you going to, meet your love and have
exactly.
and you're having a torrid affair? There's so much that could happen in this painting. That's why I enjoy this painting so much. Here's a little onesie with a little fairy girl.
Yeah, I
She's so
still have
cute.
that one. I'm
Hmm.
surprised.
Some
I
ships.
love tall ships.
Oh
Huge.
yeah, he paints some amazing nautical themes. Some have cryptids in them, some don't.
I fancy my delusion is I'm a pirate, so that's why I'm always doing pirate stuff.
We all have our delusions, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Beautiful. This could be anywhere. Like it reminds me of Colorado. If you've ever
Hmm.
been to Colorado, it reminds me of Colorado.
I have been through there on a bus.
This reminds me of here in the snow because we have a lot of
Mhm.
creeks up here on in Appalachia. So you'll have these waterfalls quite frequently up here.
Where I live in Indianapolis, I have a little plot of land. I'm still in the suburbs, but I do have a little woods and a little creek that runs by it, and that's based loosely off the creek.
So yeah. So I don't want. I love this
Oh,
too, by
that's
the way.
that's right here. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the actual painting behind him. That's for sale. Let me. I'm trying. Like the mouse is on the screen over here, and I'm trying to make it do on the other screen. So yeah,
No,
that's just me. So
it's okay.
I'm gonna reduce. Oh, we. Oh, there we are. I was like, I lost us both. Um, Ghost Valley asked, "Do you have any art gallery shows?" Al Cooley from Ghost in the Valley podcast. Al, I just got your
Great.
book today.
Hey, Al. I used to be in some galleries, but gallery sales are actually very, very slow. But I've been selling mostly online and at events that I do. But I will be at a gallery in Oklahoma later this spring.
Oh,
And
nice.
I've been invited there to kind of kick off this gallery, and they think the hidden Bigfoot stuff would just go over great there. So I'm
Oh,
kind
most
of stoked
definitely.
about that.
Yeah.
I believe it's called the Homa Gallery in Oklahoma. So yeah,
Cool. You'll have to check him out there if you're close by. I know you're like Ohio. And he also said,
Indiana actually.
or Indiana. Well, I know that Al's in Ohio.
Yeah, I always say Indiana and Ohio. They're basically the same state.
Mm,
Basically,
mm. They're
similar.
both long to drive through. I've done both.
No, that's true.
And
That's
he's, of course, said beautiful, which I couldn't agree more.
true.
And we were talking that a lot of your inspiration, especially with the Bigfoot, and the paranormal paintings come from like you experiencing stuff and for real, for real.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a cryptid encounter really. I've had other paranormal stuff happen, but I've always been, interested in cryptid stuff. I'm of that age where I was watching In Search of as a kid, and I remember my dad coming and getting me, and he was like, "You got to see this," and he sat me down in front of In Search of, and it was the episode of with Patty in it, and the Patterson Gimlin film, and I was blown away. I'd never heard of such a thing, like monsters could be real, and I was hooked from then on. And so, yeah, yeah. Even though I haven't had an encounter, I'm deep in the cryptid world, you know. But I do have a couple paranormal stories if you'd like to hear those.
Oh, sure. We're always
I
more
have
than welcome for a paranormal story. What do
I
you
have one I consider a demonic kind of encounter, and then I have an angelic encounter. It's like the yin and yang of encounters. It's really weird. Um, I'll do the demonic one first. So I was in high school, and I had a rock band, and we were doing pretty good and everything. And we pooled all our money together, and we decided to rent out this kind of like a pool. I think they call them like a pole barn, or just it was just this big. There's nothing to it. It's just this big square kind of barn like thing that you could rent out for different things. And it basically just had a stage, had a little bit of seating, and then it had like a snack bar, or you could use it as a bar, And so there was nothing to it. There was two garage doors for load in, load out, and then there was one regular door to let people in or out. So the night before our big show, we were all standing around by the soundboard, kind of in front of the stage, back a ways a little bit. And we were basically all saying goodbye to each other, like, hey, we'll see you, I'll see you tomorrow, all this stuff. And all of a sudden, just as we're getting ready to walk out, we hear this loud cackling laugh.
Ooh.
And it was like, what the hell is that? And we look up, and right on one of our bass speakers was this guy. And he was very short, and he looked like, I know if most people don't know who this is, but there was a guy from the 70s named Scatman Crothers. And he was in the movie The Shining. And he was the guy who told the little boy what The Shining was. I used to say he was the groundskeeper, but someone pointed out the other day that he was not the groundskeeper. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, so this guy is sitting on this speaker just laughing his head off, like he'd heard the funniest thing. And we're all looking at each other like, how did this guy get in? Because like we literally had shut the garage doors. We were saying goodbye. We're getting ready to go out the main door. And we're like, he must have slipped in. It was like, made no sense at all. But we're like, man, I don't know how he could have done that. Like I said, there's nothing to this building. There's like nowhere to hide. So anyway, we realized it's like, well, we can't leave if he's in here. So we need to figure out what he's doing in here. And so everyone kind of pushes me forward to go talk to him. Crap. So I go up to the guy and I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? And he says, hey, I got just the thing. You're going to love this. You're going to love this. And just like out of a cartoon, he put his hand behind his back. You know how Bugs Bunny would put his hand behind his back and they come out with like a billy club or something.
Right.
He would always come out
Big
with
hammer.
something. Yeah. And this is exactly what this guy did. He put his hand behind his back, and all of a sudden he brought it up, and he had a stack of Polaroids in between his fingers so tall that I don't even know how he's holding on to them. Okay. And I definitely don't know how he got them from behind his back. But anyway, so the guy brings out these Polaroids, and he's going through them and showing me, and they are crazy pornographic. Okay. Just hardcore disturbing pornographic. Okay.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe this guy's a pimp or something, and I'm major creep factor. And I'm like, dude, no, don't worry anything, don't worry that. And he's like, no, man, I can get you, whatever you want. And I'm thinking, maybe he's, drugs. I don't know. And then I'm kind of starting to kind of walk away, and he's making really, serious eye contact, and he gets real serious, and he says, listen, I can get you whatever you want. What do you need? And I'm just like, flipping out, just how serious he got, because just, a little while, just a
He's
few minutes ago, he was
cackling, yeah.
laughing his head off, cackling. Yeah. And now he's like dead serious, eye contact. I didn't think he was going to let me walk by there for a minute. But one of the guitar players came up, and of course he was grabbing the Polaroids and having a good old time. And I'm like, dude, put those down. We're going to leave the nice man alone and get the hell out of here. So we go back, and this is 20 feet maybe away from this guy, where everyone else is kind of gathered around the soundboard. And I go up, and in the time it took me to walk those few paces, get in a huddle, like everyone's like, huddling up, kind of like, what do we do about this? And you know how you do that thing where you kind of look over your shoulder, kind of like you're getting ready to talk about somebody, and you want to make sure they're not listening.
Not paying attention.
So, I'm doing one of these, and when I, turn around, he's gone. Just no rhyme or reason. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, where did this guy go? And I'm like, the garage doors are shut. We would have heard those open. We would have seen them open. They're right there. There's nothing to this building. I can't stress that enough. And he would have walked right by us to have to get out. And we were all like, okay, he's got to be hiding. He's hiding in here somewhere,
Oh, geez.
So we're looking all over the place. There's nowhere to hide, I mean, we look behind the bar. I even went so far as to look under I was a drummer at a drum riser, and there was a little bit of room. Someone could maybe crawl under there. And I even looked under there. The dude was gone. And
wow.
That, that encounter was like, the guy appeared out of nowhere and he left out of nowhere. And I have no explanation for that whatsoever. And it creeped us all out for a long time.
Oh, I imagine so. Especially because you had a physical interaction with this dude, because he was like showing you pictures and everything. And then he vanished just as quickly as he showed up. So I'm just curious, what did you think he was?
I had talked to my, friends about it for a while and stuff. It was probably years later. Someone was like, I wonder why he was asking you and no one else, hey, I can get you whatever. And I did think about it. Of us guys who were in the band, I was ridiculously poor. I cannot even stress how poor I was at the time. It was just me and my mom, and we, barely had our head above water. And I was desperate, and my only skill at the time was, playing drums. I was all like this. All my eggs are in this basket. I'm all in on this. And it's like, I've got to make it. This is my thing, And of all the guys in the band, I think I was the most desperate and would be most probably the first to take somebody up on an offer like that. Yeah.
Because that's what it sounded like to me, almost like you hear the stories about, like, the thing that pops in my mind is the Hank Williams Jr. song with the fiddles.
Oh, yeah. The devil went down to Georgia.
Devil went down to Georgia. That's the first thing that popped in my mind is like, what can I do for you? Like, what can I get?
It's more of like I don't know if you heard of the Crossroads legend,
Mm-hmm. Crossroad Demons.
Yeah, well, it was I'm trying to remember who the guitarist was. It was a very famous guitarist from like the 40s, maybe 50s. I forget his name, but he was supposedly had made a deal with the devil to be this amazing guitar player, and he was for a period of time, but he died early, and I think tragically, if I remember. Robert Johnson, that was his name. So anyway, yeah, I mean, some people are like, that was your crossroads moment, man. That dude
Yeah.
would have given you all kinds of talent, but you would have maybe owed him something. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's not worth the trade, man. Don't do it.
No,
Don't do
no. Luckily, I was
it.
smart enough not to do that.
Well, and if you would have went that way, you never would have been a painter and doing, what you
That
love
is
now.
true. I really, yeah, it's amazing that I didn't really find out what I wanted to do until, until like, maybe 20 years ago. It was like, hey, this painting thing might be cool. So,
This is fun. I
and
like it.
I didn't go pro painting until just like 5 years. No, not even that. 3 years ago, 4 years, something like that. I think 3 years now. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, especially because I know the places you're talking about, and they are literally like just wide open, like
Yeah.
garage type of places, and you could hear somebody walking because they
Oh, yeah.
echo, like they're made for acoustics and things like that, and the fact like you didn't even hear him walk around or unless he was just there was some hidey hole that nobody knew, and he
Yeah.
popped out and then popped back right back in, like that's crazy.
It's super crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and Adam, he responded. He says, "Same here. Never saw any kind of cryptid, but I have a huge interest in them.
Yeah. I
It's
feel you.
fascinating. Cryptids are fascinating, especially with the Bigfoot mystery. Because I'm a firm believer that there's so much of the world that we have yet to discover. Like humans, we always think we're the smartest thing there is, and but I think there's just so much of the world that we don't understand, and I could there's some theories out there that would explain why we've never seen or any evidence of a Bigfoot. And I love the connections, like if you've ever seen the 411, is it 411 maps, where the disappearances and the
Oh
overlay
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. The missing 411 stuff. Yeah.
and if you overlay like Bigfoot sightings with those, like
Yeah.
it'll blow your mind. And then if you
It's kind of weird.
overlay caving, like the
Hmm.
cave formations throughout the United States, on top of that,
Hmm.
it the first time I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, and people were like, "Oh yeah, like Bigfoots
It's
aren't real." It's like,
it's compelling. It's very compelling. I mean, I guess I was kind of on the fence for a long time until probably I started doing shows and meeting people and after you hear, these stories from people who are very credible, have nothing to gain. Some of them get tears in their eyes talking about this, kind of reliving it. Or once you talk to a few law enforcement people who had
"Oh
encounters,
yeah,
and I've talked to all these people, and after enough of those, you're like, they can't all be lying, okay? They're not all lying. There's something to it. Now, part of me is kind of leaning towards kind of interdimensional something. I've been talking to some people about that. I met a guy from Minnesota who had some crazy stories. He had the Skinwalker Ranch of the Midwest, and or maybe it's just Minnesota. I don't know. But anyway, he had some unbelievable stories and pictures. So
oh wow,
I don't know. I've talked to some of the people you see on TV too. Ronnie LeBlanc's kind of a friend, and he's all in on interdimensional now.
hmm
And,
yeah." I think there's so much. It's like I've mentioned this a couple times on my podcast. I was like, there's a thin line between science and magic. Everything's magic until science can prove it. So
absolutely,
there's just so much like I don't think we understand. And like
absolutely right.
the Bigfoot phenomenon, like it's been going on. Like the first documented case I've ever found was like back in the 1920s, um, which I did a video on. But
Mhm.
some of the earlier depictions and stuff, and I completely agree with what you were saying. Like, if you're not a believer, sit down and have a couple conversations with people
Yeah,
that have had experiences. It may change your mind, because
absolutely.
when somebody's had a true experience and you see the emotional effect that that has had, and the ripple effect it's had in their life,
Hmm.
why would somebody do that? Why would somebody, like, because some people get really ridiculed for their beliefs
Oh yeah,
and cryptids and different things. So why would they put themselves out there for people to make fun of if it's not something they truly believe in? So I think there's
yeah.
truth out there.
I mean, I'm not naive. There's people I've talked to where I'm like, okay, this person really kind of wants attention. I kind of get that. And there's a percentage that come across like that. But like I said, it's just too many to just, they can't all be lying.
Exactly. Adam said, yes, I have my paranormal cryptid tattoo slave. Eventually, I'd like to have more tattoos, like an actual tattoos, instead of my juvenile
I
mistakes.
have been told I may not get one. So
You may not get one.
I cannot, I've been told I cannot get one. So,
Ah,
yeah.
they say if you're diabetic, it's not a good idea, but I know people that have diabetes that have tattoos.
Hmm. Well, I'm not diabetic, but I was told they're ugly and I will not be getting one. So
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, one of
You're under
those things.
explicit orders.
Yeah, even though I've got a great idea for a tattoo, but anyway,
Keith, some people say that they're involved or de-evolved Neanderthal. Yeah, I've heard that too.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I've also heard like the theories of like the wild man, which the wild man stories, you'll hear them here because like West Virginia is so rural and
hmm,
isolated, with sometimes miles between folks. And there are places up here in the hollers where people live a different life, for
yeah,
lack of a better way to put it, like very isolated, no running water. I could see where somebody, if they're running from something, or for whatever reason ends up in the woods, it could be, if they're a bigger person,
hmm,
be, something like that. Adam said, exactly. Even if it's a small percentage of them seeing something, it's got to be something out there in the trees. Yeah,
yeah.
most definitely.
And I mean, I've done some paintings that have depict kind of portholes, and stuff. And I've had a couple researchers, kind of tear into me like they don't come out of magical portals. And I'm like, listen, nobody knows.
Nobody
I'm
knows.
like, in matter of fact, I even called the painting like, I think it was like one of the first ones I did. It was like no judgment, because I knew the moment I would post it, and it wasn't up for 10 minutes. I already had
Like,
some.
no,
They
that's
don't. What
not
do you
true.
do? It's like I don't know. No one knows. I just wanted to see if I could do a cool portal pic or painting.
It's art. Leave me
It's
alone,
art.
man.
Yeah, come on. I'm just yeah.
Yeah, and Keith brought up a valid point too. I said, do they have camouflage like an octopus or chameleon? That's one thing that's been talked about, and the fact that how they disappear so quickly
Yeah,
and sometimes just appear out of nowhere. Maybe they
Keith.
do. Like, there's so many cool things in nature, like,
Yes.
that happens that we forget that, are real things that we have evidence of.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we're finding animals all the time, and there's like so much. For example, the ocean.
Yeah.
We have maybe, what is it, 10% or even less
Yeah.
than that that we've
It's
actually.
something. It's something
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's something astronomical, and there's so much of the ocean we haven't seen, and it's like a different world the deeper
Yeah.
you go, and we aren't allowed there because we're not made for that. So it's not to say that there's not other places in the world that aren't necessarily made for us, or that we have access to for whatever reason.
Yeah.
A- And it doesn't mean we know what we're talking about either.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, we think we got the world figured out, and that, there's a mantle and all this stuff that's underground and tectonic
Yeah.
plates and all. But you never know. There might be a
Oh,
cavity that, something could be traversing underground. There's all kinds of theories out there. And I'm not going to, like, pardon my language, I'm not going to shit on anybody's idea or belief. That's just not me. But that's my personal opinion.
yeah. No, Keith here brings up a point that I've always tried to bring up, and I've always said, why couldn't there be some sort of creature that we don't know about who can camouflage themselves like a chameleon?
Hmm.
Has just some crazy, something that we don't know about. that can make it seem virtually invisible, that you know, we just don't know about. So I don't
Exactly.
know.
And then it's the fact, like, especially because we're talking a lot about Bigfoot, but if you've ever seen somebody in a ghillie suit, I like to use that as an example when we're talking about cryptids and stuff. If you have a person that's in a ghillie suit in the middle of the woods, just standing, and you are like looking around, it's possible him just standing
Just
out in the
right
open, you're
in
not going to
front of
see
you.
it because your
Yep.
eyes go right over it.
Yep.
So maybe it's something to where they camouflage into the background, like curving light around them, because that's
Yeah.
been a theory for years. There's all kinds of stuff out there, and
Oh yeah.
like the octopus theory. Like, I love the idea of the octopus because it is the strangest creature, and they're so smart, but yet we can't figure them out either. And a lot of people even suspect that the octopuses, creature, is possibly some sort of um, transplant off a comet or
Yeah,
debris
like
from
an
space.
alien species that is somehow living in our. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
ecosystems.
kind of cool. Yeah,
I think it's cool,
they
and
are fascinating.
it's like, why, simply because there's a majority of people that believe in something doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I've always felt that the wilderness is their home. They know how to blend in and move around things out there.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's their home turf.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're talking about out there. And it's with a lot of things, especially with the woods. Because growing up in Appalachia, you hear all the stories
Yeah.
about things in the woods and what not to do and what to do, and at night and when
Oh
you're
yeah.
out there. And so maybe it's hard encoded in me to believe in things. But
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, there's just the paranormal in general. I mean, it's something. You know.
mhm. It's
All
like
right.
we
That's
can't
not
put our finger
stupid,
on
but
what exactly it is, but it's
yeah,
definitely
but
something.
it's something. Yeah. You can quote me on that. Go ahead and use that. That was some brilliant insight there.
But and you said that you had another paranormal story because you told us about your
Yeah.
almost deal with the devil kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you believe in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you said you had an angelic experience
Yeah.
also.
I think this is an angelic encounter, and it's a weird one. And I don't know. I've had some people go, "Why would an angel be involved in something like that?" I don't know, but let me explain. It involves a toilet of all things. So I know, right? Okay, so it starts off weird already, but
We like
back,
here weird. This is the weird side of the internet. So you're
yeah.
welcome.
So back when my kids were little, we I wasn't working a lot of hours. I'm not sure if my wife was working at all at the time, and we were really hurting for money. And our toilet broke. Well, we had just enough money to buy a new toilet, and I was like, "I'll put it in myself. How hard could it be? I'll take the old one out and I see how that went in. It is actually very easy to do." So I get the toilet out and try to put this new one on, and it's just not going on right. Okay, it is just not fitting right, and I cannot figure it out. It's driving me mad. Okay, I told the family we're going to be without a toilet. Here's a nice bucket. Go in the garage. I
Do
was
what you gotta
going to be
do.
out. Maybe half a day at most. And well, it was not going well. And my in-laws, my father-in-law, who could have helped me, he was in West Virginia, as a matter of fact, at the time. And so I kept going to different hardware stores and finding their plumbing experts and trying to explain the problem. Didn't have any money for a plumber. Okay, so this was my you
Oh,
know
I feel that. Trust
you
me.
know yeah. And so this was my cheap way out. I'd just go ask the plumbing expert, and none of those people could help me. None of them could figure out what I was talking about or how I could fix it. Just baffled. And it was going on like day two. And a matter of fact, one of my best friends stopped by, and he had worked with his dad, who was a plumber. So he knew quite a bit about plumbing, and he took a look at it, and he looked at it for about a half an hour. He's like, "I, dude, I'm out of ideas." He's like, "I have no idea why this is not working." So so he leaves, and finally, it's going. I think it's going on the third day. I'm not sure. I went to another hardware store, and I was just dejected, like really, really bummed, because it was like I was letting the family down. I was getting major dirty looks around the house because of the bucket thing. You know what I mean?
It's not
So
fun.
it was not a good scene, and and I was all like, I was kind of mad at my dad. I'm like, why didn't he ever teach me this? I should know how to do this stuff. You know, and I was just really upset. And so I was in this hardware store just walking around, and the wife was walking around another section, and I'm in the plumbing aisle just staring, just like thinking. I'm just hoping something will jump out at me. And all of a sudden there was a guy 10, 15 feet away, and he goes, "Hey, what you working on?" And I'm like, I kind of glance over at the guy. And my first impression is this guy homeless? He looks young. He looks maybe a little homeless. Maybe he's just lonely and wants to talk. Maybe there might be some mental, diminished ability or something. I don't know. He just didn't seem quite right. And my first thought is, he's not going to be able to help me with anything. He just wants to talk.
Mhm.
And so I was trying to be nice, but I was just like, I've got to get back on my problem. I cannot be sitting here, chit chatting. But, I was fairly cordial and nice. And he just kept saying, "Well, what are you working on?" I'm like, I just kept blowing him off, going, I got this stupid plumbing thing, you know. And he finally, he like really kind of got in my face. He's like, "Tell me what the problem is. What is," and I'm like, all right, here you go. So I explained everything to him, and him, without even blinking, just walked just a little ways away and picked up this part, came back, handed it to me, and said, "Yeah, what you're going to do is you're going to put this and this, and then we take this off." And then he turns, walks away. Okay. Now, as he's walking away, I'm sitting there dumbfounded, looking at this part, going, "Oh my God, I think this is what I need." And at the same time, the wife walks up and she goes, "Who was that?" And I'm like, "This dude just came out of nowhere and solved my problem." And she goes, "Did you thank him?" And I'm like, "I think I did." And I look up and he's just turning to the next aisle. Okay.
Mhm.
So I run to the next aisle because I want to make sure I thank this guy because he definitely got me out of the jam. And of course, I turn to the other aisle and he's not there. And I look around all over the plumbing area and through quite a bit of the store too, not the whole store, but quite a bit of it. And he was nowhere to be seen. I kept thinking maybe when I check out, I'd run into him or something, but never did see him again.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just thought that was so weird that this guy just came out of nowhere, walked up, insisted on helping me, even though I told him several times that just I've got it, don't worry about it. And then he just walked away. I mean, he didn't say anything else. He just told me how to put it in, and just turns face and walks away. So weird. And of course, I took it home and I had it going in like 10 minutes.
Oh,
It was
wow.
perfect.
So it was like that.
It was like this extension thing that I had no idea existed. So it was pretty wild. But so yeah, that's the only thing I can think about that. I I see a theme where I'm having people appear and disappear out of my life.
Okay.
You know, but yeah. So that
I
was
said
my
that's
angelic.
pretty dang awesome. That's a cool
Yeah.
story, definitely. Like
And,
I'm a firm believer. Like it may not like I wouldn't call myself religious by any stretch of the imagination. I'm
mhm,
agnostic at best,
sure.
but I do believe sometimes like There's certain things that are serendipitous that you
Mm-hmm.
can't explain,
Mm-hmm.
or you'll meet somebody in your life and you'll connect on such a deep level without ever really meeting them before, and you
Mm-hmm.
realize that you've had all these connections, like it was almost like destined that you would meet eventually.
Yeah.
um so that, and you never know, like, was it an angel that, helped you that day, or was it some sort of guidance that brought that
Yeah.
guy to that location? It's like, look, stand in
Exactly.
this aisle. You're going to help somebody today. Like,
Yeah.
that's your job just
And,
for today.
and I've had people, like I said at the very beginning, people are like, why would a angel come help you with that? Hey, I don't know. Okay. I don't know why anything happens, but um, you know, to me, there was really no other explanation but something divine or something paranormal.
Something heard your pleas for mercy.
Something, yeah.
It's like,
Like, gonna help
please
this
solve my
pathetic loser
toilet
standing in
trauma
the middle of
issues.
a hardware store.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, sobbing in the aisle, and then suddenly
Something.
somebody.
Why is he in the fetal position crying in the middle of the store? It's close. It's close to that.
Yeah, I believe it. I've been there, and especially when you get my cat. I just felt something. I'm like, what the heck? Hi, Raven. Um, but I've been lowest of the low, and then like something miraculously
Oh
just
yeah.
kind of plays out, and you're just like, how did that even happen? Like, so it's hard to believe that there isn't something, but
There's been weeks where I've been like, ooh, haven't had a sale this week, and I really need some money, and I'm like, please God, please help me. Please. And I had this has happened twice to me where I've been like frantic, worried, and I sold immediately $600 in like the next hour,
oh
just out
wow.
of nowhere. Just people out of nowhere contacted me. Do you still have this, one piece? And I'm like, holy crap, yes I do. So
Oh, hey, Cindy. She's another host on the network.
hey, Cindy.
Cosmic Gift. Yeah,
Yep,
she's
yeah,
she.
absolutely. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, she does a very very good show on Monday nights, uh, talking about astrological stuff, like how the moon shifts affect us, and
Mm.
how all that
Hmm.
stuff, and the synchronicities that we're talking about in the world. So
Yeah.
definitely, if you haven't, check out Cindy's podcast. Um, but yeah, that's what I kind of feel like. Sometimes if you just kind of offer it up to the universe, is what I say, when you get to
Hmm.
that desperate situation where you're just like, if anything, I don't care what it is out there listening to me, please. Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes you may not even realize that you're getting these cosmic gifts
Yeah.
until like after the effect too. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in that. So, and I'm not going to discount anybody's experience. I
Yeah.
won't do it
Yeah. Oh.
because like it it's deeply impactful, you
Yeah.
know, when you have an experience like that.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
what's funny is, yeah, I have my religious beliefs and everything else, but I tell people it's like, okay, I've got those beliefs, but there's nobody who has more pagan or friends than I do, more witches as friends. No, nobody does.
Was
I mean, I'm friends with everybody.
Yeah, see, I
I
was
don't
pagan
tell.
for like 16 years, and
Yeah,
then I had a very tragic death, and then
yep,
I didn't believe in anything
yeah,
for like ever. But now as I'm getting older and my mortality is facing, like,
yeah,
I'm getting more and more curious about what is out there. And like the way I think is more of like universal cosmic, you know, higher, you know, Akasha records type stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Because like I've never been a firm believer in like traditional religion, because there's
Mhm.
always biases and hypocrisy that
I
I
agree.
can't align
I
myself
agree
with it.
100% with that. Yeah, I think it's a very personal one-on-one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a personal journey. Adam, of course, you're going to put me on the spot. What's the name of her podcast? Cindy, can you pop your podcast name? Because I know I'm bad with names, and I know I'm going to say it wrong. So So if you're here, please pop that in the chat. I greatly appreciate it. Or if any of the guys from the network. Um, but yeah, that's definitely, to me, it's interesting because especially like the fact that the whatever came to you, whether it was a man or not, the way he was so humbly dressed too.
Yeah,
Um, it's very indicative of like a divine situation, in my
yeah,
opinion,
I agree.
because why would, if it was some sort of, as you said, angelic encounter, it's not going to be a flowing robed,
Oh yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
goddess that's strutting around Home Depot.
I've tried to explain that to my mom before. So it's like, what? What do you mean they don't have wings? I'm like, no, no, you
No,
know.
and I don't necessarily think becoming universally aligned. I knew it was universally aligned, but I knew there was something else in there. And then they're like, "Whoops, sorry, you're fine. I'm just kidding. No, I don't care." But I think a lot of times because felt that pull before. It's like I would probably, whenever I was in college, like I always went to the same place for lunch, and then there was like a day that I happened to go somewhere else. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to run into the grocery store and grab a couple things before, on my lunch break and have a sandwich from the deli or whatever. And I've come up to the register and like the person in front of me, you know, they're like $10 short, or they're, on their bill or whatever. And I don't have it a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it just happens that time I have that extra $10 and I can help that person. And I think everybody's had those sort of like coincidental like pulls. I think there are certain um like I believe in the whole like infinite universe theory type of
Hmm.
things. But I do
Hmm.
think that there's certain pools that we have that are like linchpin events that
Hmm.
we're supposed to have in our life that
Yeah,
affects
I
this
agree with that.
specific
I agree with that.
universal trajectory
Yes.
before um, you go to the next linchpin, because I think they're all kind of connect and then kind of go out. But
Yeah.
that's my personal.
My main one was I, I had a good friend named Rue Williams who she helped me quit my job. I mean, it was amazing. She was, and I that was definitely a turning point in my life, big time. And I knew it was a job I had for 32 years,
Oh
and
wow.
just I was all like, I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore, and I'm going to give this painting thing a try. And I tell people it's like I'm not rich, but I'm not destitute yet. So every
You're
day,
living on the edge.
every day, yeah, yeah, it's something every day. But I feel so lucky to do it. It's like wow, this is what it's like to want to get up in the morning. You know,
Yeah.
this is what it's like for people who like their job. They get up in the morning, they're happy about it. I'm like wow. And I love getting up and grabbing coffee and painting. I love it. And people are like, oh, you really crank them out and all this stuff. I do paint a lot because I
But
kind of
it's your
have to.
passion though.
It
It's not
is. It's
it's not a have to, it's a
yeah.
want to.
It's
And when you're
I want to
yeah,
absolutely, but
when
but
you
I
have that
also do
passion
have
for
to
something.
because if I paint something and nobody likes it, I post it, and if no one likes it, I'm like, whoa, hey, okay, well, I got to get something else ready you know, to offer up because I tell people I'm a shark that needs to keep swimming. So,
Exactly. You
but
can't let, one, because it's the same thing. Like I'm passionate about everything weird. That's just always been me since I was a kid. But I've always been a little um self-conscious is the best way to put it. I had all this personality that I wanted to give to the world, but I was so scared of what everybody thought. And when I let go of that, and I'm like, no, I really love this. I love the people I interact with. I love the people I get to meet. And I threw myself out there because, like Howie, the guy that is one of the founders, I've known him for many, many years. We met at a job where we were building a certain hobby store that I don't agree with their politics,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but we were the people that actually put the shelves up and put everything on the shelves, and it was this whole thing about trying to get to be the last person, because they were cutting people every day, and then whoever was left behind got to stay in the store and work, and it was this big pressure cooker. But that's how Howie and I met, was in Harrisonburg, and we discovered we had the same weird interest. And back then, this was, oh God, 20 years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And he's like, "Oh, I love your personality. You should do this podcasting thing." This was back when he was doing it like more of a radio thing. And I'm like, "No, nobody's going to want to hear me. Nobody's going to see this face. And when he finally made me start doing it, I discovered the passion for it, although I got burnt out and I had to step back. And then I decided to do this form of podcasting instead of what I was doing, because I was telling stories before, but that was for a week. Everything I was trying to do, I just got burnt out.
Mhm.
But when you find that passion for something, it's no longer work. And that's
Yeah.
what people don't understand. Like, if you can find that, and unfortunately, we're in this um, spinning mill, basically, of you got to work to pay the bills, you got to do this
Yes.
and you do that. And there's not a whole lot of flexibility when it comes to passion. So if you can have that, like, it's a blessing.
You know, I respect those people who get up every day for their whole life and go to a job they don't want to, and I get that. I was there, and I feel so lucky to have gotten, out of that. But I was one of those people when they're all like, you need to find what you love and do that the rest of your life. It's like easier said than done.
Hmm. It's like, how do I
Easier said than
find it
You're
first?
like,
And
you can
then how
do
do I
whatever
know
you
for
want.
sure?
No, you can't do whatever you want. I was supposed to be a rock star. That does not work out. You cannot do whatever you want. I still, if someone said, what would you, if you were able to do whatever, I'd be a musician. I'd, go back to being a musician. Absolutely. There was nothing like that. But
Yeah,
this is an
proud.
excellent fallback.
I love it. And Al said, "Gotta love what you're doing."
Oh yeah.
Exactly. And Sydney had an interesting question. She said, "Do you feel like you're channeling as you paint, or do you have a vision of what you want to create?"
Um, Channeling, not so much. Um, I will say this. There was one time I got really creeped out. Long story. I never been like into drugs or anything, but there was a short time when I have this neck issue, a lot of pain in my neck, and I was told, well, why don't you try, marijuana? And I'm all like, no, I made it through the 80s and 90s without, really doing much, and 2000s really. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. But some people kind of convinced me into trying it. And so I was like, okay. And I was painting and everything was cool. I was doing some interesting stuff while, but there was one day I was painting, and I swear to God that I was not controlling the brush. I was just watching it, and it was really weird. And I was like, wow, what's going to happen next? I was just, so I don't know. Some people are like, well, you had something laced with something. So I don't know. But it freaked me out though, so much so that I stopped smoking that day. Just
Oh,
like,
wow.
done with this, because it did freak me out, because I really felt like I wasn't in control right then. I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
so
What
I
did
don't
you end
know.
up painting? I'm just curious. Like,
What did I paint? Oh boy, I don't even remember. I know it was in my first calendar. I know that. Whatever it was, most of that calendar was made while I was smoking at the time. So, yeah. So I don't know, but
yeah, I was just curious because maybe there was something at that time that was like your subconscious coming out. Because a lot of people like that I know that smoke, it helps their creative flow,
yeah,
and it kind of relaxes their mind, so their subconscious kind of comes out in their
yeah,
art. So I
and
was
I
just
can see
wondering,
that.
maybe that's
I definitely can see that. I think I did do some really good painting in that time. I definitely think I took a a leap in my skill level. I
Oh,
could see that.
really?
Oh yeah, definitely took a leap in the skill level.
That's
And,
cool.
and I remember going, "Oh, this is why all these musicians do this." It's like that totally makes sense now. But the other part of her question about um, it was like I forget exactly what she said, but I remember the answer that I was thinking of is like sometimes I challenge myself, like I'll get inspired and I'll just be all like, I'm going to use 3 colors today, and that is it.
Hmm.
Let's see what
I've
I can
seen some of
do.
your postings, or
Yeah.
you're like, I don't really, paint people, so I decided to try this dancing
Oh
woman
yeah.
with fire.
Yeah. I make myself do about 4 or 5 figurative things a year. It's actually getting more. To get better, it's like
Mhm.
I'm not going to get better on them, if I don't work on them. And
Yeah, it's definitely getting out of your comfort zone and pushing
oh,
yourself a
big
little
time.
bit more.
There's a lady in L.A. Her name's Julia Diller, and her mom actually was Phyllis Diller. I don't know if you
Okay.
heard of her. Yeah, comedian from the 50s and 60s, I guess, probably 70s maybe. But
Uh,
anyhow,
she was still around, wasn't she, in the 80s? Because I remember her
yeah,
on
I
like
think she
Johnny
was.
Carson and stuff. So,
Yeah, she probably was. But her daughter is a really sweet person. She's always given me tips and stuff, and she definitely said something the other day about my figurative stuff is getting there, slowly.
mhm.
So I'm pretty happy about that. It's not there, but it's getting there. I get asked all the time to do portrait work, and I'm like, nope, 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 nope. Not yet.
No, thank you.
I have done some early on. I would paint anything, whether I could do it or not, and I did do some portrait stuff that I wish I could go back and with what I know now. Or it's like going. This isn't portrait stuff, but I'll go in my mom's house and I'll look around. She has all these old paintings of mine, and I'm not necessarily proud of them. And I'm all
No,
like,
no, you should be, because like
"Oh,
that's one
you
reason.
haven't seen these."
No, 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 you don't understand. Like I have put every video, like I leave every video I've ever done
Mhm.
on my YouTube channel for a reason. Because I can go back and see like my first, when I start feeling crappy about myself and it's like, oh, nobody's watching my videos, I only got like 10 views. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, but I've come so far, because there's those first beginning videos, they're cringy, man. Like I am so you can just see the fear, like,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's like it makes me, I'm like, man, I would like to go back and do that again. Like I don't
yeah,
want to I don't want
yeah,
people seeing that. But then in the same boat, that's your growth journey, and it's always good to go
yeah,
back and be like, at the time when I painted that picture, I thought that was awesome. And it's
yeah,
cool to see, like, yeah, that was the best I could do at this time, but look what I could do now. And you wouldn't have that if you didn't have that opportunity.
yeah.
So no,
I'm like,
never
Mom,
look
don't
at
you
your
have a
stuff.
closet we can put these in? Come on, come
Oh,
on.
I feel that. I do. Because I'm like,
Yeah,
maybe I should take some of this old stuff down. And everybody's like, no, no, no. It's your journey. You want to be able
yeah,
to see it. So I'm
exactly.
like, yeah, I get it. Oh, wow. We're already on the hour. That was fast.
Oh wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before we go, though, I want to give you the opportunity. I know we can get your book on Amazon.
Absolutely.
You want to share your links, or where they can get a hold of you, or where they can see your paintings?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to see my work, probably the best way to do, I used to have a website and no one ever went to it, so I just got rid of it. I was selling everything through social media. So if you go to T.W. Williams Fine Arts on Facebook, you can find me there. On Instagram, it's Timothy underscore Wayne underscore Williams underscore. It's kind of long. Uh, on TikTok, which I'm new to TikTok, but I'm getting there, I'm figuring it out. It's the Painting Pirate on TikTok. So those are the main ones. I do have uh, well, I have a video on YouTube, but I'm not sure I'm going to recommend it because I kind of want to redo it, but
Leave it
it's
though.
kind of an ASMR, if you know what that is. It's kind of an ASMR painting thing. It's more you just kind of watch me paint. I'm not really teaching you. Just there's a lot of people who just would approach me and go, "I just want to watch you paint."
Right. It's
They're like,
relaxing.
"I don't want to learn. I just want to watch." And so I did a video for people like that. Where it was just I would talk a little, but it was mostly just just watch the process.
Hmm.
And
Well,
so
it
that's
is
on YouTube.
like there's something about watching somebody that you see as like really good at doing a specific art and watching how they do it.
Mhm.
It's just I don't know. It's neat to watch something that could, especially when you're talking about painting. Because I
Mhm.
used to paint when I was young. I don't
Mm.
do it now, but um, it's neat to watch somebody go from a blank canvas to like a completely different world that you could
Mhm.
never imagine.
Yeah.
Before we get too far into it, so it's kind of like when you hear your own voice on a recording. Absolutely, that was the hardest
Yeah.
thing for me to get
That,
over was hearing my like looking at myself and
yeah.
hearing myself editing.
Yeah.
It
I
was
never listen to any podcast or anything I'm on. I never listen to them. I would cringe. Yeah.
as I said, that was really fast. Yeah, the hour goes by so quickly. Thank you, great show. Thank you, Cindy. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Cindy.
that. And if you want to see his links and stuff, I make sure to put everything in the description below. If you're on YouTube, the Facebook Live event, the links are on there too. Um,
On Amazon,
yeah, Amazon,
World
your
Bigfoot
Bigfoot
Expedition.
Expedition. Check that out. He also does the occasional pictures of his little dogs, his freeloading, what do you call it? Long nose
He's a long nosed Alaskan boar chicken.
chicken.
Alaskan boar chicken.
Yeah, adorable, adorable
He's-
puppy with
yeah.
his OnlyFans poses.
Right?
Thank you, Adam. Awesome show, y'all. All right. So you know where to follow him on everything. As always, I always like to tell everybody thank you for watching. I appreciate every one of you. I've noticed a pickup in all my socials, which is absolutely phenomenally crazy. I've been blown away with the love and support the podcast and the library has been bringing in. Love you guys. And as always, have a great night. Thank you for watching and sweet dreams. Bye bye, guys. I gotta find it. I always lose this one. There.